Hey everyone, and welcome back to Living with Long COVID with me, Jade. Now, does this sound familiar? You stand up and your heart immediately starts racing. You feel dizzy, you're lightheaded, like you might actually faint, but it's constant. Your brain goes fuzzy and everyone around you just thinks you need to drink some more water or have some food. If that sounds familiar, and especially if you have long COVID, there's a very good chance what you're experiencing is POTS. Postural Tachycardia Syndrome. And it really took my life over early in my long COVID journey. Today, I want to break down exactly what it is, what it does to your body, and how it's diagnosed, and what I used to manage it. Because it took me a long time to understand what I was feeling because there were so many other things going on, a lot of money to diagnose, and then figure out how to manage it. And it shouldn't really take that long or be that expensive. Just a quick one before we dive in. If this ends up being useful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who might need it. It genuinely helps reach the right people. So, let's get into it. What is POTS? POTS stands for Postural Tachycardia Syndrome. It's a condition that affects your autonomic nervous system. That's the part of your nervous system that controls all the things that your body does automatically without you thinking or influencing it. That's also called autonomic. Things like your heart rate, your blood pressure, digestion, and temperature regulation. In POTS specifically, the problem happens when you change position. So usually when you go from lying or sitting to standing up. Normally when you stand, your body automatically adjusts your heart rate, your blood pressure to keep blood flowing to your brain. And in POTS, that adjustment doesn't happen properly. The blood stays pooling in the lower half of your body, so your brain doesn't get enough blood flow, and then your heart overcompensates by racing. So you end up feeling dizzy, lightheaded, and fatigued easily. The diagnostic threshold is a heart rate increase of 30 beats per minute or more within 10 minutes of standing, without a significant drop in blood pressure. For people under 19, it's 40 beats per minute. POTS is different from simple low blood pressure, so it's something to be aware of. It is a known condition, but it became much more widely discussed after COVID because a significant number of long COVID patients have developed it. Some estimates suggest up to a third of long COVID patients have some form of autonomic dysfunction, and POTS is the most common form. So what does it feel like? For me, the things that hit hardest were dizziness, feeling of faintness, exercise intolerance, fast-acting fatigue, and brain fog. And I'm going to go through each of these. Dizziness and near fainting. This is the one that I found hard to explain to others. Going from lying down and to standing up from bed in the morning felt really difficult. I'd get this wave of lightheadedness, my vision would go fuzzy at the edges, and I'd have to grab onto something or sit back down and take a moment just to get oriented. Worse would be sometimes I had to go out and I'd get this wave of dizziness and have to stop, sit or lie down before I'd pass out. In POTS, this happens because blood is pooling in your legs and your abdomen when you stand, and your brain is essentially not getting enough blood flow. Your heart races to try and compensate, but it can't always do it fast enough. Exercise intolerance. This one is particularly bad if you were active before getting ill. So any kind of exertion, walking to the kitchen, carrying something, climbing the stairs, would send my heart rate just through the roof and wipe me out for hours. The medical term is post-exertional malaise, PEM, and it's something POTS and long COVID share, which is part of why they're so often found together. It's really important to understand that this isn't deconditioning, this isn't being lazy or unfit. It's not that your body has forgotten how to exercise. It is actually a physiological dysfunction. Please don't let anyone, medical or not, just tell you to push through. That will make things significantly worse. There have been numerous studies done for long COVID around PEM, which I will link to in the description, where people were pushed and pushed and pushed in a clinical setting and they found it was horrifically bad for them. So this is not like a cold or flu. Pushing through will actually make you worse. And I have felt this so many times, and still today, it sometimes happens to me despite me knowing about it. Fast fatigue and breathlessness. So this is hard because of the heart trying to compensate, the blood not flowing. You find that your body is working extra hard just to get you standing up, which means that you fatigue a lot faster. I remember early on having to stand up and wait for my hospital appointment because there were no chairs, and after 5 minutes I was overcome with fatigue. It made me super anxious that I would faint, so I always have to find a chair or somewhere to sit, as otherwise I'll just end up crashing and feeling the effects for the rest of the day. Brain fog. When your brain isn't getting adequate blood flow, it just doesn't work properly. And for me, this showed up as difficulty concentrating, struggling to find words mid-sentence, memory loss, and feeling like I was thinking through cotton wool. On bad days, I could not follow a TV show. On very bad days, I couldn't really hold a proper conversation. One day I received an email and it asked me one question. I stared at it for 2 hours. I could read it, but I couldn't understand the content of the email. It was 2 paragraphs. I knew what the words said, but I couldn't understand what they were trying to ask of me. After going back for a nap and then coming back to my desk, I realized the question was simply, do you want to have lunch? It was so scary that I couldn't actually put that together and in my brain. Again, this is physiological. Your brain is literally not receiving the blood and oxygen it needs to function well. It is not anxiety, it is not laziness, it is a real and measurable thing that I still struggle with today when I read or write or try and get my thoughts out. Other common symptoms also include rapid or pounding heartbeat, palpitations, headaches, shaking or trembling, nausea, temperature dysregulation, feeling too hot or too cold a lot, definitely me, blurred vision, chest pain, or tightness. So, how is it diagnosed? Now you're wondering, can you diagnose it yourself? Yes. I did a lean test with a blood pressure cuff at home, first to check if this was potentially a problem. I did mine at home with my partner taking notes. Then, as I was in the plus 30 BPM, I took it to a cardiologist who put me on a heart rate Holter monitor. I then paid for a private active stand test, which was really expensive. The test came in slightly inconclusive, so my cardiologist advised for a tilt table test. So I was diagnosed via a tilt table test, which is the gold standard for POTS diagnosis. It is quite an expensive test if it's private, and NHS has a really long waiting list. But it is exactly what it sounds like. You're strapped to a table, monitored with electrodes and a blood pressure cuff. And the table is then tilted to standing. Your heart rate and blood pressure are tracked throughout. It's not the most comfortable experience. You're basically being tilted upright and told to stay still while your body either copes or it doesn't cope. Mine obviously didn't. My heart rate did go up, but not quite to 30 BPM because it was over a year before I managed to get it. So whilst I don't technically qualify, speaking to my cardiologist, he did say that I'm in that grey zone, which is very close to the POTS standard. But I want to say getting that test took a really long time. If you suspect you have POTS and you want to test it for free, it's worth doing the NASA lean test, or also called the poor man's tilt test. Your GP can help you do it, or you can do it at home with a heart rate monitor, which are pretty cheap and available online. It's not expensive, it's worth doing. I'll link to the test sheet below so you can print it off and do the same. Then it's worth asking your GP to refer you to a cardiologist or a long COVID clinic specifically for a tilt table test or autonomic function assessment. So what helps? I want to be upfront. I am not on medication for POTS. I was offered it by my cardiologist, but as I've been able to manage my symptoms with other things, which I'll explain in a bit, I decided not to do the medication route. Some people are prescribed beta blockers, ivabradine or fludrocortisone, all of which can help manage really, really bad symptoms. And that's a conversation to have with your doctor based on your individual picture. But what I did try were the 3 most common helpful things for POTS: salt and fluid loading, compression garments, and gradual exercise with a physio. So, salt and fluid loading, for whatever reason, no one quite knows, increasing your salt intake by a huge amount helps with POTS symptoms. There are various theories as to why this works, but the most common one is because more salt means your body retains more fluid, which increases your blood volume, which means there's more blood to go around when you stand up. For POTS patients with low blood volume, this is common. This can make a real difference. In practice, this meant significantly increasing my salt intake. They recommend between 3 to 10 milligrams of sodium per day, which is around 6,900 milligrams, which is 3 teaspoons of salt, 7 tablespoons of soy sauce, or salt tablets. Adding salt to food isn't enough. I have sodium tablets in the morning to ensure I have enough. Plus, I also add lots of salt to my food. Interestingly, I've always actually loved adding salt to my things and feel better afterwards. Then I have to ensure I'm drinking enough fluid to make up for that salt intake. I was always a big water drinker, so now I have to drink at least 2.5 litres of water per day, and I aim for 3 litres. Compression garments. I started off with compression shorts, like bike shorts, but they're several sizes too small, so they ensure they compress the veins. Not flattering. I actually more recommend the compression socks, which were really helpful. And the shorts are just way too tight for me. I wasn't comfortable, they weren't flattering, and to be honest, I only really wear them if I have a bad day. So in the beginning, these were really incredible, and I felt supported and didn't get dizzy or faint. It was great. But I found my POTS symptoms improved over time, so I don't need to use them all the time. How did it improve? Gradual exercise. This is a hard one, as I mentioned PEM, post-exertion malaise, earlier, and it's very important that you keep aware of it. However, I read many stories about how POTS symptoms did get better for people if they did light, small amounts of exercise gradually. For me, what it looked like was starting off with yoga, something I actually like, and finding a teacher online who did short 10-minute sessions and trying just to do the things that were kneeling or on my back and taking it very slow. I would do a few stretches, and I started off maybe 2 to 3 times a week, and then I'd just lie there breathing and getting my body back afterwards. Moving my body felt really nice, especially the stretching. And then I progressed to doing very, very light Pilates. Just a few stretches, literally 5, no more, nothing hard. I will link you to the 2 teachers on YouTube that have helped me, and I still use them daily. So now, 2 years on, I'm able to do a full 10-minute yoga class or a 10-minute Pilates class. I still take it easy, and I don't do it every day. I just go slow and do what I feel I can do. Other strategies that I found helpful were sitting on the edge of a bed for a minute before standing rather than getting straight up, compressing my legs on days when symptoms were worse, avoiding prolonged standing, so sitting or lying when possible, eating smaller, more frequent meals. Large meals do divert blood to your gut and can worsen symptoms. Avoiding extreme heat or cold, if I can. So, where am I now? The good news, and I really mean this, is that my POTS has improved significantly alongside my long COVID recovery. I'm in year 3 now, and the episodes that used to happen multiple times a day are like way less frequent. Did it help? Honestly, yes. I noticed a few of the really severe dizzy spells, and the mornings have become so much more manageable and easier. The PEM is still there, the long COVID is still there, and I can see how far I've come with my POTS symptoms. I can now walk for a couple of hours, I can stand up for 10 minutes, I can go upstairs without being completely shattered. I honestly say that the above has worked for me. I am still not able to do a full exercise class for an hour, but things haven't completely vanished. I still have days where I can feel dysregulation. I still have to be thoughtful about what I can do, how quickly I can do it, and how much energy I have every day. But compared to where I was, it's a completely different picture. What I can definitely say has helped has been rest, pacing, not pushing myself, finding my boundaries at each few months, and giving my nervous system the conditions needed to slowly recalibrate. If you're in the thick of POTS right now, please know that it can and it does improve. It just needs time and patience, two things that are incredibly hard to give when you feel this awful. But you're not imagining it, it's not permanent, and you are not alone. If this video was helpful, please give it a like and share it, particularly with anyone you know who's struggling with long COVID symptoms or POTS that haven't been explained. Getting the right diagnosis can genuinely turn things around, and the more people this reaches, the better. Subscribe if you haven't already, and drop me a comment. I'd love to know if you've been diagnosed with POTS, what has worked for you, or if there's something specific that you would like me to cover. I do read every single comment. Sending you all the love and good health, and until next time, stay safe, stay positive, and I'll see you soon. Bye.